Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Contrarians. Martin, how you doing?
Doing good. Looking forward to this one. This one was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got an excellent show today on the Contrarians. Before we start, I just want to remind folks to like and subscribe. Also, check out our Patreon. We got a really cool Patreon thing going on where we do all kinds of stuff behind the scenes. We have like a Secret Santa thing coming up. We have a lot of fun on the Patreon with our Patreon members, and it helps the channel to continue to grow and to continue on. So if you want to support the channel, we have a Ko-Fi and a Patreon as well, and we appreciate every bit of support that we get. Today, Martin and I are back, and we have a really cool, interesting episode that I'm going to let Martin explain what's going on here.
Yeah, so the idea, we're calling this glitch in the hypnosis matrix. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of these album cover shows every Wednesday live at 7. We didn't do one this last week, long story, but we're doing one next week. I was at this Getty launch thing. So we've been doing these album cover shows, and oddly, as sort of synchronicity or symbiosis, Tim Derling and I just did one that just went up, which was where we thought maybe the inner sleeves are better than the front cover kind of thing. And we just did our usual showing the album covers and the sleeves. And then Keith Carlson came on and actually did those covers for us, which is kind of neat. And oddly, he didn't know this, but we'd had Marco working behind the scenes like a mad scientist on something else this show at the same time. But I thought it was kind of interesting we did that. And you can go to our Contrarians Facebook and see Keith Carlson's fine work where he took these inner sleeves we talked about and made them into the actual album covers. So, but the reason this came about was I love all this album cover stuff. You know, I just had this new Pink Floyd book come out, and get this at martinpopoff.com. I talked about hypnosis a lot in here. Pink Floyd just came through and did a museum show. I got to meet Aubrey Powell from Hipgnosis. We talk about hypnosis all the time. Marco and I did a whole show on hypnosis. I talk about them in this new book where I'm one of the writers in this, one of the 4 or 5 writers. And then I definitely, some of my Aubrey Powell, an old interview I did with him is in my Led Zeppelin book as well. So I love this album cover art stuff. And Hipgnosis just have a new movie out called Squaring the Circle. But one of the neat things about Hipgnosis, and this is even alluded to in the movie, is that the cool thing is they would come up with these great ideas, and they were so great and standalone and independent on their own that they didn't necessarily have to sync up so perfectly with the albums that were happening. The meaning behind the album cover art was actually almost like extra to the album. And it got to the point where literally they would have ideas and they would get rejected by one band, but a good idea is a good idea, as Poe would say, and Storm would say, that they would just be, these ideas would be hanging around where they could then be possibly sold to another band. And so there is a funny thing in the Squaring the Circle movie where Paul McCartney sounds a little faux, cheesed off that some idea that he used, I think something to do with a lobster or something, might have been, pitched at somebody else first and was quote unquote a leftover or whatever. So he has a little laugh about that. So that's kind of a thing that happens with Hipgnosis. So because Marco's been doing some cool stuff and fooling around. I remember, Marco, I asked you to do that when Dan McCafferty died. We did that Nazareth Playing the Game where you removed the 3 members and only had, Pete Agnew sitting at that table. And that was an awesome image that you did. And we spread that around the internet, right? So I thought, what if we did something where we showed some of these hypnosis artworks being jumbled, where an idea maybe did get sold to the band the first time, or didn't get sold to the band it was done for, hung around, and then got used for a different band later. So I came up with a few instructions. Marco, put the text of this one on the image of that one, and he went away and did this. So that's what we're going to present to you today. So I don't know, Marco, if you got anything to add, or you want to just start in, or...
No, other than like these are not AI generated, although we may play with some AI stuff because we've done a little bit of AI stuff on the Patreon and our music trivia where we've added where we've taken one band title, like a band name, but then like another famous album from a different band and mashed them together and got these really cool ideas that we might do an episode on that one day. That would be interesting. These were all actually created. So Martin definitely put my Photoshop skills to work, and this was actually a really fun exercise. So I'm interested in seeing what folks think, and we're going to show these off. And yeah, comment below and let us know what you think. Let us know which ones are your favorites. But yeah, if you're ready, I'll share my screen and we'll start talking about it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So let me just technical things going on.
Yeah, I don't know what order these are in, so we'll just talk our way through them. So there you go. So there's our first one, taking Venus and Mars. I mean, Hipgnosis did a very almost like an equally elaborate package for both Venus and Mars and Dark Side of the Moon, with poster, gatefold, stickers, and all those doodahs in inner sleeve stuff. So I thought this would look kind of cool. We combined Venus and Mars with Dark Side of the Moon, and I think that's a pretty cool image. They were both black to begin with, right? So yeah, and it's got the same spacey vibe. So and we know Dark Side of the Moon didn't have any text on it. So there you go. That's our first one. I don't know, Marco, any comment or?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's the space theme really shines through with this. With the almost like you got the void in the middle, but even the titles, Dark Side of the Moon, Venus and Mars. But this was a really cool example.
Cool. All right.
This next one is one of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah, so the story here, of course, is, hang on, I just want to close this thing so I can see these fully. So yeah, the neat thing about this one is this has an actual story around it where this image was going to be used for Black Sabbath, Never Say Die, and it got rejected, and they obviously used the other image, which I think we're going to be seeing a little later. So this is showing you what it might have looked like had that gone together, and it makes perfect sense as well with the storyline.
Yeah, absolutely, and the text and everything fits in there as well. You almost can't even picture the original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so this is really cool. I like this one a lot because the lights out cover, as we know, is that whole Battersea Station sort of thing. So this is the cover from Hawkwind Cork's Strangeness and Charm, and it fits like a glove. I love the fact that I'm not sure Marco changed this or if this was what it was like, but you know, the colors pick up, the white picks up, the red picks up, it all fits in perfectly. And yeah, it's hard to even remember what the original lights out looks like because this is so similar.
This one is fantastic, and I didn't edit anything about the logo. It totally matches the lightning bolts and all that stuff. This one's fantastic.
That's
love this
true.
one.
Yeah, fit right in there at the same. Yeah, excellent.
Like look at the little yellow things on the U and the F and stuff, and then look at the little yellow things in between the little circle where the lightning bolts are meeting and stuff. I didn't do any of that. I literally just grabbed the text and threw it on here.
Neat.
So
neat. Cool.
Very cool.
All right. Yeah, I like this one a lot too. I think that the colors match perfectly. So, you know, Hipgnosis did a lot of work with Wishbone Ash and obviously a lot of work with Pink Floyd. So I like that the brown and the red are picked up in the brown and the red of this moody, Battersea Station thing. And of course, you know, no smoke without fireworks as well. So yeah, so this could have been instead.
Yeah, and this was an example where the original logo from Wishbone Ash on there's a No Smoke Without Fire, just it wasn't fitting. So I grabbed a different logo for this. But this actually works really well, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks good. All right. Yeah, so here we go. So no heavy petting might line up with the chicks looking in and the guys in the, the rock stars in there, and you got all the, the fans going crazy kind of thing. And we know the no heavy petting album cover was black and white as well. So this feels like a decent fit, and it's just a nice clean image.
Mm-hmm. And we got lots of UFOs on UFO band covers on this. So this won't be the last. It's not the first one you've seen, and it won't be the last one either.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. And then there were three. I think there's four people in the image, but so it could be, and then there was three. But of course, we know In Through the Outdoor was, what Poe and Storm were trying to put together was a story of this New Orleans kind of bar. And there were different cover arts for this. And of course, we know it came in a paper bag, and the inner sleeve, you wet it and it would change colors and stuff. So I think and then there were three kind of fits with the story because Genesis, was losing members. And when they put out, and then there were three, which was 78 and this is 79, they're dropping members as they go. So I thought it worked good. And Marco did a nice job with the coloring and the placement and all that.
Yeah, and I like how it's a little vague where you start counting things in the image. You're like, what do you mean three? Like three drinks, like three
Yeah.
people, and you start counting everything, and then it's almost like a little game of Where's Waldo.
Yeah, neat. Cool. Yeah, so here we go. So we know Scorpions had these ones with the gals on the cover. We had the questionable the Love It for Sting and Animal Magnetism and Love Drive. And I thought this fit perfectly as well because these look like these austere Hipgnosis classy women with blank stares, that they kind of are known for, this sort of impersonal photography look. And I thought this worked perfect. It matches the exact sort of artistic vibe with just a little bit of sexuality that you get on those Scorpions album covers.
Yeah,
And of course, this is Alan Parsons' project, right? The artwork.
Another very cool cover.
Okay, so we use the Love Drive again. So I thought this was kind of interesting where, the Love Drive album is essentially blue anyways, and this is blue. And also Love Drive is the one album where Michael Schenker is sort of part of the band. He's like, he's kind of a guest quasi in the band and only for Love Drive. And of course, we've got Michael Schenker right on the cover here. So showing that he is in the band. So yeah, and we've got, there's Schenker, obviously, the brothers with Rudy Schenker. So yeah, I think this is a good looking cover too.
Yeah, and I like the contrast of the photograph. And I like how even the Love Drive, it's a little hard to read a little bit, but it kind of fits in with the photograph.
Yep.
The colors.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, so here we got UFO Obsession. This is a 10cc artwork. I think this is one of my favorite of these of the Hipgnosis artworks. This was for Bloody Tourists. So yeah, we kept the colors sort of the same, but it kind of fits. Obsession's such a vague word. You don't know what it applies to, so you could start making up stories when you see these things.
Yeah, and I had never seen this album cover before, and this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think it fits perfectly.
Yeah. All right. So I think this one looks perfectly natural too, right? So this is your Black Sabbath, Never Say Die. You've got High and Dry, and you've got these pilots who are going to go up in this plane and be flying around high and dry. And I like how, you got the red hat and the yellow hat and the red and the yellow in the logo. So it absolutely fits perfectly. And we all know the High and Dry album cover was one of the crappier Hipgnosis album covers for a band, which unfortunately is known for having basically all their albums are pretty crap. Album covers are pretty crappy. They're one of the most notoriously bad. So yeah, this looks perfect.
Yeah, and I was going to comment on the colors as well. It matches.
Yeah,
the color play.
Yeah,
and the theme.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so here's another beauty. I love this one. I love how Marco's got the colors in the lettering, just basically kind of like a light gray, and it fits perfectly with Animal Magnetism. It's just a classic, iconic. This is from Brand X. Everything about this is quintessential Hipgnosis photography with sort of the tinting and the mood of it and the impersonalness of it, and the juxtaposition of things. Yeah, great cover.
And it's also like quintessential Scorpions cover. Like this easily could have been a Scorpions cover and nobody would have batted an eye.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. You got the women's parts in there. You got the legs, right? So yeah, you think back to In Trance as well, and of course the notorious original Virgin Killer cover. So Scorpions had kind of a run of these sorts of covers. Yeah, it absolutely fits.
When you were deciding which titles would go on which albums, were you considering the music involved with the albums as well, or were you strictly looking at the imagery?
Yeah, not the music, but I wanted to do bands that were fairly big, that we know about, that we've talked about a lot, and then looked for kind of fits as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, so here we go using Obsession again, and you could say, excessive hand washing is a type of OCD obsession. So I thought this fit. This is the UK Danger Money artwork. So yeah, I think it makes another cool, and all the UFO, basically one of Hipgnosis's better runs is what they did for UFO.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Yeah, so here we've got the Hawkwind. This is actually Marco found some different fonts to use for this, but this totally looks like a Hawkwind cover. We've got a Yes album from '78, and I believe Cork, Strangeness, and Charm is from '77, so sort of the same era. I think the title kind of goes with it, but Marco's got it done a nice job of making the colors match as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's another absolutely perfect, looks dead on like you would expect from a Scorpions album cover.
Yeah.
Yep. So here's a cool one as well, where I always liked the technical ecstasy cover art, and weirdly for the way that the font is just so absolutely boring, and it's just black, and it was above and below, and I think it fits great on the Led Zeppelin Presence art, and I think you could start playing mind games with yourself with the Led Zeppelin object, and how that relates to the title Technical Ecstasy. And I think there's a nice tie in here because both of these album covers had a square within a white background.
Yeah, and I think the font on the album Technical Ecstasy is pretty much the same too, right? It's that simple lettering.
Yeah.
I have to double check, but I think it kind of matches both.
And it kind of matches the object as well, right? Just stark black on white, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So another cool Scorpions one. This one reminds me this. So this goes back a little ways. This is Pretty Things. So this is when Hipgnosis did kind of the really treated photography. So you get the real kind of sepia old time looking thing. So this almost makes this Scorpions album, the way Marco's done the font and stuff, it almost makes it look more like a krautrock album. So it almost looks back to the early 70s, which is where this Pretty Things is from. And so it reminds me of Lonesome Crow a little bit. So this looks almost like an album cover that was designed in Germany to put on a krautrock album.
Yeah, and it's interesting how this album cover almost looks artificial. Like this almost looks like an AI generated image. And if I was a little more proficient at Photoshop, I would have wanted to take that like metallic Scorpions logo and actually put it onto that missile or that torpedo. And kind of like run it along, but I'm not that proficient with Photoshop, so I did my best, folks.
Nice. So here we go, Wishbone Ash Argus. Everybody loves this cover with the cool warrior standing there, but I think it lines up with any of the Roger Dean type things. It might be something that Roger might have done early on, kind of thing. And yes, Tormato. Yes, it does refer to the tomatoes that are smashed all over that cover. That's a whole story in itself. But it also is about Tor, as in mountain. Yes, Tor. And here you've got the warrior looking off on a Tor.
And the design of the Yes logo kind of fits with the image of the helmet. It kind of just flows almost. And you got two things to look at: the logo and the warrior.
Yeah.
And I love the contrast of how bright the background is and how dark that center is.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so here we've got the spooky the audience pictures that Hipgnosis did. These were so cool. And kind of Stepford Wives look to it, right? If anybody gets that reference to the old classic movie. But yeah, I think it matches the creepy, unsettling vibe that Hipgnosis wanted to get for Zeppelin covers when they did it. So here we did Coda, the 1982 compilation, which was kind of neither here nor there for an album cover. So I think this just pops it up a little bit, and it looks awesome.
And I think with this one too, it kind of fits in with Zeppelin 4, Presence, and now this. You could almost kind of just line these up on the wall as paintings, and like they're almost like a set.
Yeah, in Through the Outdoor as well. Yep. Cool. Yeah, so here we go, Zeppelin again. I never liked the Song Remains the Same album cover very much, but here we've got another Brand X one. Hipgnosis did some good stuff for Brand X. So yeah, I just love the look of this. I love what Marco did with the type and the colors. Song Remains the Same. The front cover didn't look particularly live anyways, and this doesn't look particularly live. This reminds me a little bit of Wish You Were Here, actually. But I just think this is just a really nice image, and it gives you something extra for a live album.
And the image of this album cover itself could have been interchangeable with a lot of the other band names and titles. Like you could have put on here like Bad Company Sharpshooter or something like that, right? Or even Def Leppard High and Dry with the red and yellow kind of color scheme again. Like you could kind of go back and slap a bunch of different logos on this one. I think it would work really well.
Yep. Okay, so here we get the Bad Company straight shooter stuck on top of Presence. You know, I think philosophically Bad Company is sort of too simple and lunch bucket meat and potatoes to go with the whole you know, the whole shooting match of the object sort of thing. But I like this one because Desolation Angels was also kind of had the same vibe with the white background in the image, and on that one they're sort of cutting out parts of it. So yeah, I just thought this kind of lines up a little bit with the actual Bad Company one that they did.
Yeah, it's wild when you do this how interchangeable a lot of these covers can be, you know, and like we did have a conversation about some other bands, and it's not as easy. Like I was trying to think about ones with Kiss, and it's not as easy because Kiss is their makeup is so iconic, and it's kind of hard. Like I know there's Animalize cover and stuff like this, but it's, you know, with the Hipgnosis ones, it's perfect because the image tells its own story, and you use your imagination to weave that into the story of the music.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a cool one because basically what happened was Sammy Hagar was in the band in Montrose for 2 albums, and then he's out for Warner Brothers Presents, and the last one before Reunion when they did the Mean album, he was out. He was not on Jump on It. But it's kind of cool. This is like, what if Sammy stayed in the band? And there is Sammy on the cover, and you can imagine the guys in the background are the rest of the Montrose guys. So it's like, hey, instead of Sammy Hagar, sometimes called the Red Album. And yeah, so this is a Hipgnosis one where they turned everything red in the street. It's kind of cool. So here is Sammy in the band still for Jump on It.
Yeah, it's very red.
So here we are using Venus and Mars for Obsession. I don't know how these particularly go together. One thing I thought was kind of cool is that the Obsession cover art is notorious for being known for the guys on the covers having the little steel balls in their eyes. So here you get pool cue balls, you know, pool balls instead. So yeah, it looks kind of cool. And Marco thoughtfully put the red at the top and the yellow at the bottom, so it all kind of fits. So here we've got Led Zeppelin Coda being used again. I just always liked that type style that they came up with for that, and this is stuck on a Bad Company album cover art. The other reason I liked mixing Zeppelin and Bad Company is because they were the most sort of related. They were both, you know, you had the biggest band on Swan Song, and then you had the second biggest band on Swan Song, same management and all that kind of stuff. So it's cool to mix these together, but yeah, I don't know how the gambling thing mixes in with Zeppelin, but I think it just makes for an album cover that makes sense.
Yeah, another one that we could have used Black Sabbath Never Say Die on, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Die. Yes. Dice. Die. Yeah. Yeah. So here we've got back to the creepy audience shoots with the iconic photography that Hipgnosis did. So bent out of shape, you know, your story starts going, what's going on in this? These people almost look like Men in Blacks, right? You know, like they're unnaturally human kind of thing, right? Like they're wax museum things or whatever. So the bent out of shape kind of fits.
Yeah, and I love, again, there's that whole arch at the top that's bent. Does bent mean like there's something bent in this relationship or in the house? Then you see the candles in the back are kind of bent, and you kind of look around, and again, it kind of tells a story. You start thinking about stuff like, what does that mean, bent out of shape? And you're kind of like looking into things. And again, it's so odd how a lot of these covers look like they're generated by artificial intelligence now.
Yeah.
You know,
and look how nicely the text fits into this one, right?
Yeah, they're so like this photo. It's so weird, and things like it makes you feel kind of weird. There's things out of place. That's what I mean when I say artificial intelligence. Like it doesn't seem real. It's surreal.
Well, that's the neat thing about Hipgnosis's photography ethos or ethic, right? I mean, they loved this sort of wax, like I say, impersonal, kind of cold. And Poe told me that one of the things they did to get sort of an unnatural feel is they wouldn't mess with focus at all. Well, they'd mess with it because it wouldn't be natural focus. Like everything at the back would be just as clear as everything at the front when they did, their certain photo shoots.
It's like Citizen Kane. But like if you look at the rug at the bottom, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like an animal rug at the bottom, but it kind of doesn't look like one. Then there's like a weird dog or rabbit on that nightstand next to the chair, and you're just like,
oh yeah,
it's just weird. It's like a weird thing that, yeah,
yeah,
unsettling.
Nice. Yeah, so here's another one where bent out of shape works for obvious reasons. And this is an old, this is one of the early Hipgnosis and one of the best of their early ones. This was a Nice cover, the band Nice, ELP related band. So this is when they kind of did a Quatermass. They did kind of the same thing and Time in a Word, where they had these sort of perspective architectural photo shoots that they would do. So this one makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I get a Blue Oyster Cult Mirrors vibe out of this one too.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, this is a funny one, Never Say Die, where the colors all match up that Marco's done with it, and it's just kind of weird, like these seagulls. What's that got to do with it? But I just think it makes for this was a Stackridge album cover. This just makes for a cool, creepy image, and it really looks like it was meant to be.
I love this one. I kind of want to print this one out and put it on my wall. like with the Black Sabbath logo and everything. I absolutely love this one.
Yeah, cool. Are we at the end, or is there more? Yeah, we're at the end. There you go.
So just a quick thank you to all of our amazing Patreons who support us. We wouldn't be here without you, and if anybody wants to support us, that's great. If not, even just giving us a like and subscribe helps out a lot as well.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know if there's any final thoughts, Martin.
No, thanks again for doing all this work. I just love this show, and I know how big a fan you are. You're an expert on a number of bands, but I know you love your Kiss. So maybe I'm gonna poke and prod you to let's do a Kiss show like this, maybe.
Yeah, and that one would be tough because their imagery is so iconic. But
we got to rise to the challenge. That's all.
Yeah, you think about the Animalize cover or the Revenge cover. Like, there's covers that they're not on. So like,
well, possibly, Marco, what we could do is take a lot of the iconic Kiss typography and then step out of Kiss world and put it on different covers.
Yeah, or even interchanging Kiss album. Like, you take a band and interchange their albums with each other and see if those work, right?
We'll brainstorm about it. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a really cool exercise. I hope, we did this for fun. It's just extra content. We hope folks enjoyed this. And if you have any suggestions, you can comment below. If you like the idea, you can comment below, and you might see something like this again soon. So other than that, I guess we'll see y'all next time.